everyone, welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year. It has been quite a year, but a grand opening to a new year.
Welcome to series number 1, titled Exposure to the Truth. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for being patient and waiting for me to continue on with this channel. Basically, these series, this is just one of 7 that I'll be doing, will explain my absence in YouTube, and why I left, what I've learned, what I've gained, what I've lost, all that. And so I'm just gonna jump right in. Some of you may be wondering, what was the truth that I was exposed to? Well, there's different bullet points that I want to touch on, and one of them will be the truth about me not knowing how to take my own advice that I was given to others. As you guys know from previous videos I've done about self-care, well, I was working on self-care. I was working on myself, but some of the points that I was making in those videos, I didn't know how to take and use for my everyday life. Like, okay, maybe I gave you the advice to take out the time to just breathe and relax. Well, I still didn't know how to do that. But last year, I was able to pick up on some ways to be balanced and actually take in, like I said, the words that I was giving others and use it for myself. And at times that was difficult because, to be honest, I don't know how, and I'm still learning how to keep a balance between my personal life, my life at work, my life outside of work, all that, and I'm just trying to figure it out. So that was the truth that I had to just expose to myself and try to figure that out. Yeah, keeping a balance and actually using what I have, and not just saying words just to say it or because it sounds good. And I'm not saying that that's what I did. I'm just saying I just didn't know how to take my own advice and actually utilize it and place it into my everyday routine. And so I just asked God, how do I take out the time for myself, and how do I balance my life outside of these 4 walls, and how do I incorporate certain things. So last year was a way that he showed me, and how he showed me was, he said, okay, pick a day. And I picked Wednesday because it's the middle of the week, and it'll be the day that I had the less homework, and also the day that I didn't work as many hours. And so what I started to do was journal and meditate. And I would give myself 30 minutes out of that day to just release any frustration, release anything that I was feeling, and then I will write it down, literally rip it up if it was negativity. But if it was positivity, or if it was just a goal that I had, I kept it. But if it was like a negative vibe that I was just releasing off of me, I ripped it up and threw it away, and then I went into a 30-minute meditation. So that was just one way that I started to deal with that truth, and a way that I started to learn how to balance. Trying to think of any other ways that I did. Oh, I started to go on more walks with myself, and walking with friends is fine, walking with your family is fine, but it's a different energy, it's a different clarity that you get when you're walking by yourself. And so when I started to walk by myself, I think that's when I really was learning how to do self-care, because I was pulling myself away from like the different roles that I have, like the road at home, the road outside. I was pulling myself away from all of that, and I was just focusing on me. I was just focusing on my breath, my heartbeat, the rate of walking that I was doing. And so that really helped. Was I consistent with those? No. But I learned different tactics on how to do self-care and take in my own advice And I'm still working on those methods. I'm still trying to add on to the methods of taking in my own advice for me and not just for others. And another key point that I was exposed to was I didn't know how to be patient with myself. Again, with the example about walking, the walking was for losing weight, and I just wanted to be a healthier me, and I just wanted to not only be a healthier me, but actually start a healthy lifestyle, because it's different when you just have a goal of losing this amount of weight and you do everything you do everything you can to lose that weight, but then you struggle keeping that weight off. Like, it has to become a lifestyle. And so I wasn't patient with myself enough. I was expecting better results faster and quicker, because we go on YouTube and we look up fast ways to do this, fast ways to do that. Well, the best way to do anything is the slow process way. And so I couldn't just start exercising without incorporating a healthy mindset. I discovered later on, after I had been walking, not consistently, but still walking, that the reason why the weight wasn't coming off is because I hadn't prepared myself to do the full amount of work. Anyone can go run up a hill, anyone can go run on a treadmill, but unless you have the mindset to go beyond just a goal, go beyond just, I'm going to get this weight off, go beyond just a feeling of a hurry and a quick result, it will have to take patience. And so I was frustrated, and at times I was just like, oh, this is just never going to work out. I'll just be a plus girl all my life. Like, who cares? I don't care. But then I was just like, no, that's not what I want. I want to live healthy, and I want to live long, and I want to live long enough to the point where I have really lived my fullest potential of life. And I don't want to just do that at any weight. I want to do that at a healthy weight. So I sat down and I started to write out ways that I want to see improvement. So one way I knew what was going to play a major key in me losing weight was exercising, but I also wrote down a way of changing my diet and changing the way that I thought about myself. And so what that came with was self-reflection, acknowledging again from the prior video, self-care, just acknowledging my faults, my goods, my bads, admiring certain things that I hadn't admired before, such as the structure of my body. I do come from a family where we're all plus size, but we all have different shapes. And so I had to take out the time to acknowledge my own shape and how I wanted to see it play out. I just didn't want to be this curvy individual. I wanted to live such a lifestyle where those curves didn't define me, even if I lost all the weight that I wanted to do. And I had to find out the true reason as to why I wanted to lose weight. Did I want to lose weight to please someone, to get someone back, just to say I did it? And so it took a while for me to discover why I wanted to lose weight, other than to live a healthy lifestyle. But I wanted to lose weight because I was tired of carrying the weight of overeating, carrying the weight of depression, carrying the weight of all these negative things. And so I didn't realize that sometimes when you gain weight, it's not just because you're eating fast food or just because you're eating junk food. Sometimes you can be gaining weight because you're not letting go of certain things. And so there were different points in my life other than last year where I was overeating, overindulging, because I was grieving. And so certain foods that you eat, they carry on the emotion and then they stick to you in fat. And so I was no longer willing to carry that weight anymore. I was like, yes, I lost this loved one. Yes, I lost this person, but I'm not going to carry them in a negative form in this weight. I'm just going to carry them through my heart, through my thoughts, and that's it. And so when I started to change my mindset, when I started to change the way I thought about myself, the weight started to come off. I'm still in the process of losing weight, but every day I'm trying to create a new method in how I'm losing the weight. And although it's coming off physically, I'm trying to also release some mental weight as well, such as depression, such as sadness, such as doubts, anything that's just weighing me down. So yeah, I think that was all I had on that point. I'm trying to read my notes here. Okay, so another key point that I had of truth was keeping a balance between my goals, my admirations, my morals, and my standards while being in a relationship. So last year I was in a relationship. Shortly after I had uploaded my second video, I entered into a relationship, which was basically picking up off of what happened in high school. And so we dated in high school, and then he reached out while we're adults now. So it had been years since I had spoken with him. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, although I've matured, although I've grown, I thought that he had did the same. And so kind of find out that's not what happened, and that's okay. I did learn some very key points from him. And so one of those key points was to have a life for you. And what that comes with was having your own happiness, having your own way of doing things. Because when you're in a relationship, it's a give or take. And so if I'm just giving, and not receiving anything in return, you can sometimes lose sight of your own life. And so that's where I feel like I went wrong at, is that because I did not know how to balance my life and my life while in a relationship, because it goes hand in hand. If you're pouring your own happiness into your own personal life, it will then overflow into the relationship. But because I didn't know how to stop pouring and actually receive some things, I think that's where I kind of fell off at. I was giving so much of myself that I wasn't leaving room to receive anything in return. That's where that lack of balance comes in at. But another key point that I learned from him, I don't think I mentioned that, but one key point that I learned from him was that he was a reminder of how I should be treated. Because over time, after I lost my grandfather, I didn't forget, but I didn't allow it to play a key role in my life. But he reminded me that I should have standards, and that I should never lower them. And so he taught me that. Well, not even taught me that, but he reminded me to never lower my standards and to always keep them high, because I keep them high for myself, so I should always keep them high for someone else. Another key point that he reminded me of was to know my self-worth, to never settle for less. Although I have been taught all my life to have self-worth, it's different when you've been taught and it's just words coming out someone's mouth, and versus when you actually take what someone says and you actually utilize and incorporate those words into your everyday life. And that's one thing that he reminded me that I needed to do, was to have self-worth. No matter who was complimenting me, no matter who was acknowledging my worth, I had to know it for myself. And then the third key point that he reminded me of was to meet people where they are. People can put up a facade every day of how they want to be or how they assume you picture them as. But if they're genuinely are just not there, then their true colors will show of who they are. And so, although our relationship ended, I realized that if I hadn't put up a facade of how I wanted him to act, as well as he was putting up a facade, I would have been able to just see him for who he was and not for who he was pretending to be, just so that he can be in a relationship with me. Although I never asked him to change who he was, I never asked him to be any different. In my opinion, I feel like he just couldn't handle being himself because he hadn't really accepted who he was for him, let alone to be the real version of himself for me. So, yeah, that was one of the things I learned from that relationship. Some of the things. I'm trying to see if there's any more. Yeah. Oh, another key point that I learned, not just from him, but from myself, is to give yourself the proper time to heal. It doesn't matter how long you take. Give yourself that room to heal. Because it was a lot of things that I thought I had forgave him for after leaving the relationship. Yeah, I thought I had forgave him, and then God would test me again with like the same scenario that I forgave him for. An example will be like, what would be a good example? I'm trying to think. Oh, like forgiveness for, because one thing that he did do and that I have forgiven him for, and I know that I have, is he had a major role in the way I trust people because he broke that trust. But after I forgave him for taking advantage of my trust, I was then tested again through another loved one that I loved, and God was just trying to show me, we can ask for forgiveness, we can say I forgive you, but it's when they do that same act again, do you respond the same way? That's how I know that I wasn't really forgiving him. I was just saying it just to say it, because every time someone would do something similar to what he did to me, I will be like, I will respond the exact same way I responded with him. And so when I noticed the change of healing, when I noticed the change of actually forgiving, was when, after I had been tested so many times with the same scenario, my response became different. It didn't take me forever to just let it go. I would just easily drop it and move on, and not expect them to repeat the same act. So that's how I knew that healing was taking progress. Like, healing was taking a little moment. Healing was taking place, and I knew that forgiveness was taking place because of my response to the same ways I was being tested. And so I figured out, hey, Aaliyah, you keep getting tested on the same thing, because my response was the same. So once my response changed, then I started to realize that, okay, maybe you're actually forgiving, maybe you're actually healing. So, yeah. So the last key point of this series, exposure to the truth, will be not knowing my own identity of who I was. I I thought that I had a clue of who I was until a lot of things start happening other than me forgiving people, me healing, me not knowing how to take in my own advice. It was because I didn't know who I was. And that plays a big role. If you sincerely don't know who you are as an individual, if you seriously don't know your purpose in this world, you can possibly forgive to the fullest potential. You can possibly love to the fullest potential because you haven't done it for yourself. And so during the process of forgiving, during the process of healing, I realized that Aaliyah, hey, you have some things within yourself that you need to allow to heal. You have some open wounds that you need to allow to heal. Not just wounds that other people have placed on you, but some wounds that I placed in myself. Let's just keep it real. But yeah, I had to really sit down and self-reflect and say, hey, Aaliyah, you allowed this to happen. Why? Hey, Aaliyah, you tolerated this. Why? And once I sat down and I started to go over my notes and go over my journal entries, I discovered that there was a pattern for me just not giving enough space for me to do anything. Never gave myself enough space to heal. I never gave myself enough space to love. There was always like different limits to certain things because I was so afraid if I gave so much to this, so much to that it wouldn't be reciprocated because of other things in the past, because past relationships, because how so-and-so treated me. And so I realized, like, again, that was a pattern, and that was a pattern I didn't want to carry on with. And there's still some things that are going on that are still part of the pattern. I'm just learning how to eliminate them. Day by day, I'm being patient with myself. It's a process, like I said again. Don't rush the process. Don't take the easy way out. Don't take the quick way to get there either, because it's still just going to hold you back. And it's just better to just go through the process. Like, if y'all are going through any trauma, or if you're going through or experiencing any hurt or pain in your life being caused or have already been caused, who have been caused or in the midst of being caused, either, please separate yourself from that person, or separate yourself if you're the one causing the pain, causing the hurt. Separate yourself and really take out the time to self-reflect and ask yourself, why are you allowing this to happen? Or why are you doing this act? Because there's a deeper root than so-and-so did that to me, I'm going to get them back because I'm being petty. No, it's a way deeper root, and we have to take out the time as individuals to find out what that root is. Because daddy and mama and sister and brother and neighbor down the street can't possibly be the main root of why you act the way you do. Only you know why you act that way. So, yeah, literally in this series of exposure to the truth, I was able to really find some truths about myself and really start to edit them and polish them and work on them so that it can bloom into something better than, oh, Aaliyah is just, she's been broken, she's been this, she's been that, all the negative. I'm ready to remove all that, and let's plant some positive things back into who we are as individuals. And once we do that, once we look at the man in the mirror, once we look at all these things that can be plucked away and replanted, or plucked away and plant something else within ourselves, we'll be a much better people as a whole. I think I'm lying. I'm not lying. If you just take out the time to really look at who you are, look at who you were, applaud yourself, maybe be like, hey, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Allow yourself to heal and to forgive yourself. will be a lot better. So, yes, it was a long journey coming, but I'm glad that I'm back on the train of why I came here in the first place. That's to be transparent. That's to use my foundation wisely and use this platform to reach so many people I know it's going to reach, and change and transform. It feels good to be back. Thank you guys again for being patient. Thank you guys for subscribing. If you guys don't know why I created this channel, again, the link is below this video. It'll explain everything, clearly everything, as to why I started my video. If you guys are looking forward to the rest of these series, stay tuned. I will be uploading them next week, all of next week, hopefully. I'm trying to give myself room to balance YouTube life versus, my actual life of going to work and having family things to do. So please be patient with me, bear with me, but I will be uploading next week. Again, there's 7 series. This is just one of them, so I have 6 more to go, and I look forward to uploading these with you and just continue to share my journey with you guys. So stay tuned, and I'll see you guys then. All right, bye.